giving each other permission to actually fully lean into those strengths. And then, like you've said, figure out where the gaps are, and then use your network. If you're lucky enough, like we are, to have a network around us, have a village around us, don't be afraid to ask for help. Kia ora tātou. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Hustle. My name is Anton Matthews, and this is my beautiful wife,
Jessica
Matthews. And we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. This is episode number five, but four together. This is our fourth episode together, but this is episode number 5. And how have you found the first few episodes and some of the feedback that we've been getting? Tell us about that.
Good. It's a bit of a new thing for me.
Yeah.
To put my face out there. Usually it's you.
Yeah. Is that uncomfortable for you?
A little bit. Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks. That's so kind.
Well, we've had some really good feedback, though,
But
right?
in saying that, lots of people have said to me, "Oh, it's really nice to see your face,"
which means they're sick of seeing me. That's all right. I get it.
Definitely not sick of seeing you.
Some of the
You're
people.
really good at this.
No, that's not true at all. I think some of the people that know you really well have felt like they want to see a bit more of the amazingness that I get to see all the time, which is you. They want to see more of your personality that they know is in there, that maybe you're a little bit scared a little bit shy, a little bit whakamā to share. Okay, well, let's try and draw some of that out today.
Love that.
Some of the feedback that we've been getting, or a lot of the feedback actually that we've been getting, has been around people saying, how do you do it? Like, what's the, not as in like, wow, it's amazing, but what does a typical day look like?
How do you guys make it work?
How does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us the playbook.
They see us for 5 minutes and think, wow, you guys have got your shit squared away.
Yeah. No.
And then, but we don't always have our shit squared away.
We're good actors.
Yeah.
No, not really. But why don't we try and discuss some of that today? Talk about, what our roles are, how do we make it work, and how do we kind of fumble our way through this life.
And it's a follow on from that whole business conversation from last week, but also how we make that work in amongst all the other things in life that are really important to us.
Well, life's busy. I think it's important for us to talk about what our different roles are, because we're pretty clear about who does what and who's responsible for what, right? So how would you describe your role?
It's a bit tricky to describe in some ways. On a surface level, I'm a stay-at-home mum, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mum right from before we even had babies. And it sounds very traditional, and we can go into that a little bit more soon, but I always knew that I wanted to be at home with our babies when they were babies. And I guess that's kind of evolved as we've had businesses and done all the different things that we're doing. I've stayed a stay-at-home mum. So my priority in this relationship that you and I have is the kids. Essentially, if you boil it down to really simple, my priority is the kids. Your priority is the mahi. Yeah. So that's on a really surface level, but I think there's quite a lot we can go into.
Yeah, I mean, that oversimplifies it. And obviously, I think what's really important to note is that we both try to tautoko support each other in our respective roles. But absolutely, I think it's important to draw a line in the sand and say your priority, because the word priority means you can only have one. So your priority is to make sure that our tamariki don't want for anything. They are fed, that they are fed, bathed, in bed, get to all of their activities, because like I said earlier, life is busy. That's your primary responsibility and role. My primary role and responsibility is to focus on making sure that we can put food on the table, keep our businesses rolling over, and everything is good there. However, we rely heavily on each other to support each other. So what that means is that when I'm at home, if I have to go away for mahi, I can
drop everything.
I can walk out the door, and you're not going to guilt trip me later on because that's me doing my job. Yeah. And it also means that if I'm at work and I need help from you, and you just say, I got to go, such and such has got swimming lessons, or I got to help do something at home.
School's called, someone's sick.
Then you can tag out, and I can't hold that against you because that's you doing your thing.
I think it's like when you simplify it, it would appear on the surface that we're very traditional in our stay-at-home mum, you go out and do the work roles, whereas I don't feel like a traditional, what people would probably call stay-at-home mum. I drop the kids off and then go and have a a cup of tea and relax. Not that stay-at-home mums do that, that's for sure. But I think as the kids have got older,
but traditionally that's
what people have kind of imagined. Like, you stay at home, you do the chores,
yeah,
you look after the children, and you don't get a say in anything that happens with the work. But I think people probably misunderstand us in that sense. Would you say that people underestimate what I know? Yep. What would you say? What do you think people underestimate around you and I and how I fit into the business?
I think people who don't know us and who don't spend a lot of time close to us would assume that you don't know what's going on in the businesses. You don't have your finger on the pulse. And that couldn't really be further from the truth, because everything that happens in the business, you learn about that same day. And I'm often coming to you for advice and asking you, what do you think? This is what I think, but what's your feedback? So yeah, you've definitely got your finger on the pulse. You know everything that's going on. And so people might not see that because you're not the person out the front, executing, but you've got your finger on the pulse, and you're influencing what's happening in our businesses every single day. I think people probably misunderstand that.
Yeah.
And
that kind of leads into an interesting conversation around, even though I've never been the breadwinner, I've never ever felt that I bring any less value to us as a whole family unit. So when people say, oh, how do you make it work? That for me is kind of what I come back to. It's like, well, actually, you bring your strengths and I bring my strengths. And I think society has kind of taught us that the value is in the person who brings home the money. So whoever goes out and earns the money for the family and puts bread on the table, that is the most valuable thing. Whereas for us, and I think it comes partly from a self-confidence thing possibly, but mostly from you valuing what I do, is that I actually feel like I bring the most value to our family unit on a day-to-day basis. Yes, I don't bring money in, but in terms of us as a whānau, what I do is valued just as much between you and I as everything that you do.
Yeah, and I think money can often drive a wedge between relationships. And I know that, for a lot of couples or partners or whatever, money is quite a big issue. And if there's an imbalance, because often what happens, right, when tamariki come into the picture, obviously the mother usually has to go and care for that tamaiti, that pepe in the early days. And so it's left to the other half, often a father, not always, to go out and bring in the money. Money becomes an issue because you don't have two income streams coming in. Have you ever felt that money has been an issue? That because I'm the one who's going out there and technically working to bring the money in, although, we work together on that.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like the money hasn't been totally ours?
No.
That's
I feel like right from the get-go, we've always felt, which is what's allowed us to make this setup that we have work, and I think is a really important part of our lives, is that I've never ever felt, even though you're the one in charge of the business, bringing in the business, making the businesses work, I've never felt like I had to be like, oh, can I borrow $50 to do this?
Yeah, and
that's a testament to you.
Oh, no judgment, because I know of couples and people out there who, they totally, the breadwinner gives them a budget, and it's like, that's your budget, or they have different bank accounts. We've always had a shared bank account, I think from pretty early on, like before we got married.
Well, we bought a house together pretty quickly, hey?
So ever since then, we just sort of put it all together, and that was that.
So we're very untraditional, probably, in that sense. And like you said, no judgment to anyone, but in order for us to make this business thing work, we've really worked out how to play to our strengths. We haven't always got it right. There's definitely been times where I've taken on something in the business and have had a lot of mahi going on and so much to do, and that is when cracks start to show.
Puts a lot of pressure on the home, right?
That's right. Yeah. I think I've always, possibly where we differ, is I've never been someone who's craved to have lots of money. I've never been someone who wants all the bells and whistles, wants the labels.
Not a very material person, eh?
No, I don't think so. Sure, it's really nice to have nice things, but I don't think I've ever wanted all the nice things all the time. And so as a result of that, if I had to, I would have stayed at home with my kids, even if I had to eat baked beans on toast every night for dinner, because that was just, that for me, different for everybody, that for me is what I really, really wanted. And so it just so happens that in this situation for you and I, that's played to both of our strengths, and we've been able to make that work. However, at the same time, I think the placing value on both of those roles is really important as well. I had an interesting, I think I briefly touched on it with you a few days ago. There's a lot of chat about the mental load of motherhood, which I think is 100%.
I'm not across that.
Whole mental load that goes on.
Tell me about what you mean.
For example, getting the kids immunised the other day.
Okay.
There was a whole mental load of like, I've got to get this done. They've got immunisations. There's a dental checkup to do. There's Christmas presents to buy. And then you make the appointment for the dental checkup and you have to work out all the different ways that you're going to, for the immunisations, you've got to work out all the different ways we're going to make this work, and no one's going to have a meltdown, and how's this going to play out. And then the emotional load of getting the kids there, dealing with the crying, like you said. But I think it's actually really similar, the mental load of being an entrepreneur and owning a business. And anyone who's ever owned a business will know that there is a whole mental load of things that go alongside that. And that is a mental load that I've never had to carry. And every now and then something will happen, like you'll be away for work or something like that, and I'll be down in the businesses and I'll be like, oh, I've got to think about some of these things that Anton thinks about every day, and that's a whole new mental load. And so I think having an understanding of each other's mental load is also a really important factor in making everything work.
There are times where you go through, as a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, you just don't switch off.
Yeah.
Like, you're constantly, either your phone's on, you're getting calls, responding to messages, emails, or even when that isn't coming in, that sort of outside stuff isn't coming your way, would you agree that one of the things that you have had to learn to deal with when it comes to me is I'm just constantly, there's something going on. So although I might be here in person, my mind is elsewhere and I'm thinking about something. And I know that's been like a cause of frustration for you, and I've had to work on it. You know, when we're going out as a whānau and we're, I don't know, out for breakfast or out for lunch or at the park, even though I might not be on my phone responding to a text message or an email, my mind is elsewhere.
Somewhere else.
How do you find that to deal with?
I think we've learned over time how to manage that, and I think something that we've had to learn to do is have those difficult conversations. And we're not perfect, that's for sure, but we're okay feeling uncomfortable and having those difficult conversations when they need to happen.
Because I struggle to switch off, honestly.
So I know, yeah. And I think that is a personality trait, and it probably is a personality.
You can call it a disorder. That's probably what it is.
An entrepreneurial personality trait that you can't switch off. And it just so happens that you've ended up with me, but you're right, we've had to have those conversations around, hang on a minute, now's time, it's not time for you to be thinking about other things. Funnily enough, that was probably one of the nicest things for the first time since the kids, well, for the first time ever, really. We went on an overseas trip last year, further than Australia. Before that, we'd only ever been Pacific Island. So for the first time, we were really, we worked really hard for it, but we were able to take the kids over to America. And that, would you say, was almost eye-opening in the sense that because of the time difference, there were times there that you just were pretty much switched off because everyone in New Zealand was asleep and we had gotten up and no one, it's like silent from work because you don't switch off as a business owner.
No. I mean, I'll be honest. So we were in the States and I was still getting up at 4 o'clock every morning and I was emails, working. I felt really guilty. One of the things I've really struggled with over the years is enjoying myself and having some leisurely time. I feel really bad.
Yeah.
I feel really bad because our businesses are open 365 days of the year. I feel really bad taking time off. Now, I know I shouldn't, and all of our staff are like, just go, please. And it's not that I don't trust people to do it at all. It probably was that once upon a time, but it's not anymore. I just feel really bad. So that instinct to still get up and work every single day was still there.
Yeah.
So I was getting up before everyone, but you're absolutely right. During the
once everyone got up at 6 a.m.
Yeah, the sunlight hours in the States, which is where we were, it was middle of the night here. So there's only so much work, there's only so many emails that you can send before they stop replying. So it was nice to have those daylight hours to actually go, well, my phone can't ring unless it's the security company saying you're being broken into at 2 a.m. in the morning. My phone won't ring, no one trying to get in touch with me, I can actually relax. And coming back from that trip, I felt energized, I felt I don't know, I felt different.
Yeah.
And so that was definitely an eye-opening moment, and I think I want to do more of that. It's just it's an expensive thing to do. Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing that I really struggle with is taking time off, taking time out and actually having fun. I just feel really bad about it. Yeah. But I need to work on that. We've all got problems.
Yeah,
that's one of mine.
Totally. How would you describe, because your role in our businesses, although it hasn't changed, it kind of has changed quite a lot from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about what your role was then to what it is now, how would you describe?
Well, I think that typical entrepreneurial journey, like when you're first getting started, you are everything. You know, what do they say? A jack of all trades, master of none. So, you know, as the owner-operator, you are working in the business, doing whatever your technical role requires you to do. So for me, that was always working out the front or working on the coffee machine.
Yeah.
Stayed out of the kitchen. I wasn't good at that. But so fulfilling my technical role on the roster, but then of course, outside of those rostered hours, a little bit of admin, although you did most of that, thankfully, because I suck at that, still suck at it. But admin, marketing, functions manager, whatever, community liaison, doing whatever you got to do. So that was very much hands-on across all of the different aspects of the business to begin with. And then really the first goal as a business owner getting started is to try and hire somebody to be able to outsource the things that you really don't enjoy or that you really suck at. And so for me, that was about trying to find somebody to take over the admin side of things. And
that was probably quite game-changing in terms of us making it work with our relationship and our family, because you're right, there was an element of that, like all the payroll, invoicing type stuff that I was doing in the early days when we had Adia as a baby.
Which was taking you away from the things that you wanted to do, right?
That's right. But you do what you do what you do because it's what you do when you're in business. But as our kids got older, you got busier, we've been able to offload some of those things to staff members.
Yeah, and it's an expensive thing, to employ a middle management layer is really, really expensive, because your businesses now need to generate sufficient cash surplus or cash flow to be able to pay a whole bunch of people that are not working in the business paying for themselves, if that makes sense.
It's a really tricky time in business growth. I think no matter what business you're in.
Yeah. They call it the black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the black hole of business. Going from a small business where you got an owner-operator kind of overseeing everything to all of a sudden employing a management team, really, really difficult leap to make. And like I said, that's been the story of the last 3 to 4 years. I think we're there now, which is great. But what it has meant is that over the last 3 or 4 years, there have been times where we haven't quite had enough money to be able to employ someone to do all of the things. So you've had to take on a bit more, I've had to take on a bit more, and that's caused a lot of pressure at times, not always, at home. I think one of the things that I am grateful for is that has happened while our big tamariki have been quite young.
Yes, I agree. Within the times that have got really stressful and we've kind of had to navigate how it works, you're right, we've had quite young children. I mean, that year that we talked about in the last episode together, I'm really grateful that happened while our kids were young, because, and interestingly, while we're talking about roles, I think we could have made a conscious decision when things were kind of going south for me to just go back to work, because I was obviously a trained teacher. I had that up my sleeve, and we could have made a conscious decision at that moment for me to just go straight back to work and earn a salary. But we decided that actually the kids in that moment were really important. We had the privilege of having other options. And so for us, it made way more sense to us for me to be able to keep the kids as my main focus and move in with your mum and dad and do all the other things. And obviously we have that, like I said, the privilege of my parents are here to support us, your parents are here to support us. I think it's really important to note, though, on that we've actually made conscious decisions along the way to be close to your parents, my parents. There's a reason we live where we do, because they're both 3 kilometres down the road. And so we
lean on them as well.
We lean on them a lot. And that's a massive privilege that we have.
Totally.
However, I think
they love it.
They do love it. They do love it. But I do also think that there are people in our position who choose not to lean on family because it's almost like a pride thing. Whereas I think one of the things that I've learned is it's just so important to have that village. In order for us to make it work, we've held on to that village.
It gives like a whole new meaning to the term whānau business, right? Because often when I think we talk about having a whānau business, people think, oh, they must be talking about Anton and Jess and Maya and Tom and the kids. And I totally am talking about that little group, but also the role that our parents, all of our parents play, because we often lean on them on a Sunday to babysit so that we can go and do something in the food truck or go to an event or whatever. So it really is a wider whānau business.
Or have a date night.
Or have a date night.
Okay, let's talk about time management.
Rosters. Keeping
family.
a track of all of the many kaupapa.
As our businesses have grown, you've got really busy. We never used to have calendars, you and I. Like, I've always been a very organised, know exactly what's going on. I'll think 5 days ahead and I'll know exactly where everything needs to be. You're a bit loose.
Yeah, you don't like that about me.
Definitely loose.
It's like, we'll figure it out. It's all good. Leave it to the last minute.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that's definitely a way that we are very different. And
we embrace
I think you need an element of that, though, to be an entrepreneur.
What?
An element of that, like, we'll just figure it out.
Oh, you have to.
Because I would worry too much that things weren't organised.
Well, I think if you get too far down the track, then you start to not question everything, but you get that, what is that, analysis paralysis. Like, you start thinking about all of the different ifs, buts and maybes, and you just convince yourself it's a bad idea. So, yeah, I would agree. At the end of the day, you have an idea, you think about it, think about the downside, try and protect the downside as much as possible, and then you just kind of go, oh, let's figure it out and give it a crack. I know you don't like that.
Which makes me feel so uncomfortable, but that's why
you do what you do. This podcast was a good example, right? It was like, we could still be here in a year's time trying to plan the set and get a better light and whatever, but, at some point you just got to pull the trigger and go, oh, let's give it a crack.
Yeah, and I think we got to a point with life getting busier and that we actually had to start a calendar situation. And so now I just see everything that's in your calendar. If there's something I know that you need to be at for the kids, I'll make sure it's in there. I'll probably tell you 4 times and then it'll go right over your head, and then it'll be the day before and you see it in the calendar and you'll go, oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
But that's okay, because it's in the calendar.
It's in the calendar. If it's not in the calendar, it didn't happen.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, so I would say that as far as managing all of the activities that the tamariki, because we have musical theatre, we have ballet, we have about 10 different sports that Mana plays, and Aria plays netball, and so there's all of these, and then there's all of the kura stuff. I would say you just take care of everything until there's a clash, and then you say to me, Anton,
I need your help.
I need you to do this. And that's when you tell me 3 times. And then I say, you never told me about that. And you're like, it's in the calendar. Check the date that it was put in there. I did tell you. And then I have to eat some humble pie. But would you say that that's pretty much how it works, right? Like, you take care of everything unless you physically can't be in 2 places at once. And then you call me and I help. And as far as attending and participating in all of that stuff, I do my very best. If it's really early in the afternoon, like if it's a 3 o'clock activity, honestly, it's hard for me to get away from work. And I know that people go, oh, don't you work for yourself? Can't you just, no. I mean, it's really, really hard when again, it comes back to that guilt thing. I want to be at work. I want to be seen. I don't want our staff to think that I'm slacking off and being lazy. Not that they do.
Yeah.
But I try to be at those things, but you're definitely the one who's responsible for getting our tamariki to and from those different kaupapa. If I turn up, it's a bonus.
Yes, totally. Yeah. It is. But to your credit, you've made it a real priority to try and be at those things. You don't come to Mana's trainings because you don't need to, but you've made it a priority to be at his games. Same with Adia. You'll make it a priority to be at the game. And even if that means going back to work afterwards, you'll try and get there. Every now and then it doesn't happen. There are certain things along the way that you've made priority to make sure that happens. And that goes back to putting into place that middle management team, which has meant that things have been really, really, really tight in terms of money in the businesses. But it's meant that you've been able to go, I can't do that. I can go to Saturday sport because I no longer have to work on the floor, make sure the barista is being trained the way that they need to be.
So, because what would often happen is I would plan to go to, I don't know, Mana's rugby or rugby league game, and I'd be ready to go, and then someone calls in sick, and there's no one to jump in, so I have to jump on the coffee machine. And so there were many of those moments, and I felt terrible, and I'm sure you were also pretty pissed, but you never made me feel bad about it, because that was me just doing what I had to do. But I've tried really, really hard in the last few years, anyway, probably the last 3 or 4 years, to make sure that happens less and less. It does still happen from time to time.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad about it, but you, like I said, you never make me feel shit about it, but I'm trying really hard to make sure that it happens less, and that I can be at those kaupapa that are important especially for our tamariki.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, what about goals, priorities, those kinds of things? Have we done a good job at communicating what our respective priorities and goals are? And do you think we do a good job of supporting each other to make those things happen?
I think at different points of our life we've done better or worse. I think there have probably been times where you've been really, really hungry to grow, and I've held you back in that sense, because I've gone, hang on a minute, like, I'm tired, you're tired, we've still got small children, I'm not ready. There's definitely been conversations that you and I have had.
I definitely felt after that whole 2017 debacle, reflecting on how we ended up in that situation with that business, and I do vividly recall even telling myself, but certainly the people around me, that the reason we were putting ourselves under this additional pressure and growing was because it was all in the name of the whānau. It was about growing the whānau and generational wealth and all the rest of it, and creating opportunities and all the rest of that. And then when it all came tumbling down, thinking to myself, what a load of bullshit that was. Like, it really wasn't about my whānau, because my tamariki didn't want...
They didn't care.
Yeah, they didn't need 12 extra staff in another business.
Yeah.
They actually just wanted their papa to be at home, and they would rather just go down to the park and kick a ball around or play on the playground, you know. So it wasn't actually about the whānau, it was actually about feeding my own ego, and I had to own that, and I had to accept that was, like, I did that. And after that, I started to question all of my own internal feelings, because I knew what that got me into, got us into in 2017. And that was probably the next 3-ish years until around about COVID. I would have all of these urges to grow and take that opportunity and let's do this, but I had to suppress them, because I felt like that was a really bad part of me that I couldn't let it out.
And I probably wasn't ready.
Well,
either.
I think you were probably traumatized by what had happened.
Yeah.
The fact that we were living with mum and dad, the fact that we weren't earning any money, we couldn't go and get an ice cream because we had no money. Those were all constant reminders of why we should not do that again. Don't do that, Anton. Shut your mouth. You never said that to me, and I never said it to you, but I think that was the energy. So there was a period there where, if that's what you're referring to, that period where you held me back, I think I held myself back as well, because I was so shit scared of getting ourselves back in that situation again. Would you say that you've never wanted to be me, eh? You've never wanted to
100%.
be. You're really, and I'm certainly not trying to put words in your mouth, but you've told me in the past that you're really comfortable, you used the word sidekick, but you're really comfortable supporting me.
Absolutely. Being the Ron to the Harry. You don't even know what that means.
What did you say?
Ron.
Ron.
Harry and Ron. Ron Weasley.
It's the Harry Potter thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So uneducated. But yeah, no, you're right. I've never ever wanted to be the CEO of our businesses. I don't have...
You want to be the boss.
I don't have that. That's not in my personality to want to be the boss. Yep. I'm really, really happy being in the sidecar, helping out, doing my bit, however that needs to happen. And so I think that's probably a dynamic that has served us really well, because I just am really happy hanging out, just helping you out wherever I can. That's probably your personality.
And I appreciate that very much.
I think, yeah. And even like you said, this whole podcast thing, it's like, ooh, now I'm there. People don't really know me. They don't know what I do.
They're about to.
I've got so many interesting thoughts that I don't know if people are even interested in.
Well, tell us one.
Well, just talking about even our dynamic and going back to that value of contributing to a family unit by not bringing in money but contributing in other ways. I feel like that's something, whether that's a mum or a grandma or a dad or whoever that might be, I really feel really strongly about society hasn't really shown value to that. And I think we're really quick to compare. We're quick to look at success by how much people earn, what, the mana of the job that they're doing. And yet I think we've forgotten how much mana there is. It's like the te hāpai thing. That's who I am in this situation. I am the helper out the back doing the mahi. I'm not the face. And I really wish that society gave more mana, showed more value to the role of stay-at-home parents, even, grandmas who are choosing to look after grandchildren. I think schools have really missed out on having people around to help them, because as a society we're so quick to place value on paid work, and that's definitely not a reflection on those whānau who need to have two parents in paid work. That's a whole different kettle of fish. But I certainly feel this pressure from society that there is value in going out, working hard, climbing the ranks. It's like we're looking at women and going, women don't earn as much as men, and then going, well, they need to earn as much as men. Now, that's different when you're talking about the exact same role. Women should be equal. However, I think we look at that and we go, they're not earning as much as men, and we forget that although they might not be earning the same, they're actually contributing something that's way, way, way more important to society. And so that's where I kind of feel like we've created this unit, and although I'm not contributing money-wise, I'm contributing in a whole different way. It's just as valuable and holds just as much, if not more mana, than going out and earning money.
I think valuing success by the number of dollars or whatever the currency is in your bank account is such a maroke, plastic way to value success. Like, money is just a tool. That's all it is. And it's utility. That's it. It just gives you the ability to purchase things.
That's right. Yeah.
But really, if you value the way in which your tamariki and later on your mokopuna engage and interact with society and carry the mana of your whānau, your iwi, your hapu, then actually you can't buy that. That is taught. That is nurture. So I think we've always really valued, or I certainly have always really valued your contribution at home, because I know that that's actually how you shape a tamaiti into an amazing human being and into an amazing pakeke, is by putting in those hours when they're young, looking after them, those teachable moments, correcting them when they're getting a little bit off track. All of that stuff happens while I'm at work earning the money. Well, the money is just one part of it. So I've always valued very, very highly the mahi that you do at home. I think that's been really, really key to our success.
Yeah, if that's what you call success. But I think for you and I, success doesn't necessarily look like the businesses making crap loads of money if we haven't given our kids the time.
That part is important, the if. Yeah, because success for me is absolutely working hard, growing the businesses, making, to use your words, crap loads of money, because that's actually what I'm trying to do. Yes, I'm genuine, but I'm trying to do it the right way. Yeah. Trying to do it the right way in the right businesses. Yeah. Like, there's lots of other businesses that we could be doing that are, totally unethical, but would probably make us a lot more money. So it's important to do it the right way, treat people right, but also making sure that you've got your home in order so that your tamariki grow up to be amazing human beings and people that you can be proud to look at and say, yep, those are my tamariki, not tamariki that grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth and become arrogant little shitheads. Yeah,
and our kids aren't perfect, and they won't be perfect because nobody's perfect and we all make mistakes.
True. I'm proud of our kids, though.
I'm really proud of our kids. Me too. Really, really proud of our kids. And I'm sure they will make mistakes in their life, and they'll do things that are wrong. And we will have made many, many, many mistakes as parents. But you're right. I think the success for us, because success looks different for all people, is you being able to be an entrepreneur and have success in the business alongside us also raising really good human beings.
Okay, so what advice would you give to another couple who is potentially looking to get into business, who is thinking about starting a business, about managing whānau, maybe tamariki, business, money, all of that stuff? What advice would you give to a couple who is looking to do that?
I think communication would be the number one.
Mm-hmm.
Having really difficult conversations with each other, and then finding ways to contribute that suit your strengths. And if neither of you have that strength, don't be afraid to outsource it.
Yeah.
I think it just so happens that for you and I, my strength is to nurture, your strength is you're creative, you're all these things that make a really great entrepreneur. Whereas for other couples, they might have two people that want to be really great entrepreneurs. So bring someone else into your village that has the strength of nurturing your children, however that may look like. Outsource that to someone else. It just so happens that for you and I, we naturally really enjoy those roles, and you've learned in business too to outsource what you're not good at. And I think if you're forcing someone to be somebody that they don't necessarily want, like not every mum wants to be a stay-at-home mum, and so if it's not what you want to be, then you do you. Don't worry about what society says, don't worry about what I say. You do what makes you tick. And so I think that's where we've been able to work as a family unit, as we've worked out that's what makes me tick, that's what makes you tick. We both need to support each other in both of those things, but we both bring different things to the table. It will look differently for everybody, but I guess just value what the other person can bring to the table, I think. Yeah, what do you reckon? What would be your advice?
Well, the first thing I would say is that it's really, really hard. So don't underestimate how difficult it is to do this. I think having empathy for your other half is really important. I think one of the things I'm really grateful for is that you just understand that when I can't turn off and I can't switch off, it's not me trying to deliberately piss you off and be a dick. I'm just hardwired that way. And having empathy for that person and understanding that they're just being them, and that's okay. Because I think there are definitely other people out there like me who really struggle to turn off, like really, really struggle to turn off. And if your partner is holding that against you and putting you down or criticizing you or trying to tell you that that's a really negative trait that you've got, it's probably not going to work. It's probably doomed to fail. So that's something I've always been really grateful for, is that you understand that I'm just a bit weird. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm not forgetful because I don't value what you're saying. I'm just hardwired a little bit differently to some other people. So having empathy, I think, is really, really important. And then I think having those conversations, finding out what that other person loves to do. I love the challenge of business. I don't like crying babies.
Yeah.
You love...
I can manage. I don't love crying babies, but I can cope.
You love being a mum.
Yeah.
I love certain aspects of being a dad. I love being a dad, but I struggle with it, eh? You know, the same 5 songs on repeat in the car drives me mental. But you can deal with that.
Yeah.
So, of course you're the best person to drive the tamariki around town all day listening to the same 5 songs.
5 songs.
Yeah.
And then can I choose a song next? Can I choose a song next?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I turn them off.
I just turn them off. I'm like, everyone get really good at listening to nothing for a while, because I need some silence in this car. No, but look, honestly, I think, it's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy. Having conversations helps. Understanding where each other's strengths lies really, really helps. Giving each other permission to actually fully lean into those strengths. And then, like you've said, figure out where the gaps are, and then use your network if you're lucky enough, like we are, to have a network around us, have a village around us. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask those people to step in, assist, because most of the time, one of the things that our whānau have been really, really good at over the last decade is asking, what can I do? I can see you guys are under pressure. what can we do to help? And often it's not the technical things that they can do. They can't just jump into one of the businesses and start doing something. But often the best thing that they can do is come and pick up the tamariki, take them to the park, or cook dinner, or invite us over for lunch, or something like that.
Yeah.
All of those things really, really help.
And in return, we try and help them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because it's all part of the village situation. And you're right, we're really privileged in that we have a bit of a village around us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think the other thing that is important to note as part of this conversation and us talking about how we make it work, this is just us. And we just happen to be, a married couple in this. There are so many other situations. And so I would hate for people to listen to this and go, oh, we can't do it that way. Because, this is just us, is what I'm trying to say. Everyone's situation is different. And if you can just take one little piece of what we do to help make things easier for you, that's amazing. But we are really conscious of the fact that everybody's different. Everyone's situation is different. It's just that people were really interested to know how we make it work. And this is how we do it. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Last thing, maybe. Just to wrap this session up, it's been good. I've enjoyed our kōrero. Let's talk about goals. What's a goal that we, or you, or we, are working towards over the next, say, 5-ish years? What's something that you're really motivated to work towards as a whānau unit?
What we have recognised, as we've kind of talked about a little bit, is that our whānau, for us it's our whānau, for other people it will be friends, but for us in particular it's our whānau, is really well looked after over the next 5 to 10 years. One of our big dreams has always been to look after our parents once they get into retirement. It's a massive dream and we don't quite know how we're going to get there yet, but our goal is to somehow find a piece of land and find a house for us to live in, build something for both of our parents so that we can all be close together as their grandkids get older and have their own babies. That might even mean having the freedom to house our own kids and their children, whatever that may look like.
So you're talking about building a village?
A village, yeah, our own little pa, our own little village.
So that goes against everything that we're sort of taught. We're taught you're born, you live at home, at 18 you should leave home, and you should never come back, right?
Yeah.
But you're talking about multi-generational living.
Absolutely, I think. And
you think that's better than the nuclear 2 parents, 2 kids situation?
Yeah, I think we've been kind of, as society has changed, we've been inclined to, like you say, you grow up, you move out of home, you get your own job, you make your own family. It's really important to both of us that we are close to our parents as they get older. I think we've lost the multi-generational living aspect of just of life in general, and I think
some cultures are pretty good. Some cultures have held on to it.
Yeah, are amazing at it.
But I think Western culture, definitely it's not a thing.
Yeah, I agree. And, we're an ageing population and we're not looking after our kaumatua like we probably should, but it's also just really important for us. I think we've seen our kids learn from our parents. I would really like to think that as they get older and our children have children, we both have grandparents that are still around, so our kids are really lucky that they have great grandparents. And life is busy. They don't see their great grandparents probably anywhere near as much as I would like them to, but they have so much knowledge that our kids can have from them.
Can tap into and learn
totally from. Yeah. And I think, for us, one of our goals definitely over the next 5 years is to find a way through hopefully the success of our businesses to then channel that into building some sort of a village for our whānau as they get older, whoever that might be, whether it's our siblings, our parents, whoever it is that needs to be a part of that village. That's kind of my dream. Alongside that, talking about the success of our businesses, I'm really excited about the Tato brand that we've created. Yeah, that's really got me excited moving forward.
Cool.
And I have kind of some big dreams for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interested to hear about those soon.
Yeah, I think out of all the things that we've done, I'm probably as a reflection of where we are with life and our kids getting older. But I think there is some opportunity out there for us to really grow that brand. It's pretty exciting. What's some of your goals?
Oh, I think you've
over the
touched
next
on,
5 years?
yeah, I think you've touched on one of the big ones. We've talked a lot about what success looks like today. I think for me, at this point in time, recognizing that our parents are now entering their sort of 60s, I want to make sure that we do everything we can to look after them because, you know, they've done an amazing job of looking after us over the last, well, 30, almost 40 years. But I just want to make sure that we are creating as many opportunities as we can to keep them close. Like you said, I mean, that generation, it would be magnificent, I think, for our tamariki to see those people every day and learn from them, hear their stories, keep those relationships really, really strong because it's so easy for people to grow apart as life gets busy. I really don't want that for our whānau. So I think in real terms, what that means is, as you've said, finding a piece of land where we can build probably 3 to 4...
At least 3.
At least 3, but 3 to 5 dwellings, houses, so that we can create space for all of the people that we love and cherish to be in one place if they want to. I mean, they might not want to hang out with us, who knows? But being able to do that would be really, really cool. So I guess in real terms, what that means for us is we need to build a business, a machine that is going to be able to, in today's money, to do that, it's probably a $5 million exercise, right? So $5 million of borrowing or cash is not easy to raise. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. And I guess that's one of the things that motivates me every day to get up, work hard, go out there, find the opportunities, create the value, build the generational wealth so that we can actually use that money to do some of the things that really, for us, define success or look like success. So that's definitely top of the list. That's the macro, that's the big kind of vision. How we do that, like I said, it's probably about growing the business. And so there are some things that are kind of in the immediate future that we need to execute and bring to life. Yeah, so I think we're on the same page there. That's cool. Yeah. It's good to know.
Yeah, I'd like to travel, do some travel with the kids.
Yeah.
It really was not eye-opening. Like, I think I've just never had a travel bug. I've really loved being at home, being in Aotearoa. But I think going overseas last year with the kids, as they're at an age that they still want to hang out with us. I would really love to do a little bit more travel over the next few years.
It's just about the experiences, eh?
It is. It's about learning new things together as a whānau. I think that's a really lovely...
And then coming home and talking about them.
Yeah.
I mean, I look around at a lot of the things that we've bought over the years.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, most of it's rubbish. It's crap. And there have been things that we've spent some money on, lots of money on, that we no longer own, and I honestly don't miss them. But you can't take memories away, like really awesome memories and experiences. When you go away and you have those moments together, they do stick with you. It sounds so corny. They are priceless though, because you can't buy them. So I think I'm totally on board with you. Man, there's so many expensive things. Buying a village or building a village, all this, not necessarily overseas, but all of this travel. It's expensive, but that's what life's about, right?
Yeah.
And you only get one shot at it, so why not throw everything at it?
And you're right about things, we're coming into Christmas. We've just had Black Friday sales. We could be spending up large, but we have to constantly remind ourselves that it's not really about those things. There's a much bigger picture to work towards.
It's nice to have nice things.
Oh, it's so nice to have nice things. Everyone loves nice things.
But I think everyone. When you get to the end of your life, you're probably not going to regret not buying the latest iPad. You're probably going to regret more not spending time with the people that you love.
Learning new things.
And learning new things and doing cool stuff.
Yeah. Doing cool shit.
What do you think, if anything, might hold us back from achieving that? What's one thing that might prevent us from giving that our best shot or hold us back from achieving those things?
I guess money is the biggest barrier to those things.
But what's something that might hold us back? So I totally agree. We need money in order to pay for all of that. What's something that might hold us back from going out and getting that money?
Probably, I don't know. What do you think? What would hold us back from getting those things, making that happen?
I think caring too much about what other people think.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is when you really place value on what other people think then the fear of failure comes in, because you're worried that, oh, if I try something and it fails, imagine what people will think of me. But like I said earlier on, you only get one shot at life.
Yeah.
And imagine getting all the way to the end and then thinking to yourself, man, if I cared less about that person and what they thought about me, I might have given that a shot, and I might have been able to change the course of my life, and I might have been able to achieve the things that I really wanted to set out to achieve, but I didn't, because I was so scared of what other people thought and how they might judge me. I think that will hold us back.
I think you're better at not worrying about what people think than me.
Yeah, I think maybe, but I'm still super self-conscious.
Yeah.
I still worry, definitely. I wish I didn't. I'd love to get to a place where I did not care if someone didn't like me, so long as I was pleased with the person I am, and that you were happy and proud of me, and my tamariki and my whānau were behind me. I would love to say that I don't care about what old mate down the road thinks, but honestly I still do. So I think that's probably something that unconsciously holds us back. So that's maybe something we just got to be conscious of.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, it's only human to worry about what other people think. Do we worry about what other people think because we live in a world where we're so connected that we actually learn what other people think about us? You know, when someone comments on your Facebook, you learn what other people think, whereas there was probably a time where people were talking shit about you, but you never ever heard about it because...
It's probably a good thing, once upon a time.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, you know, that old ignorance is bliss. Like, if you don't know that old mate down the road shit-talking you...
Why does it matter?
You're not going to let it affect you because you never know about it, right? Whereas nowadays, you're absolutely right. You know, every single day, people comment negative things, right?
Yeah.
On one of our social media profiles, or whether it's a business or a personal one. People let us know how they feel about us. I think we've gotten much better at letting that, you know, like water off a duck's back. But early on, when that first started happening, which was when we really put ourselves out there, it was pretty hurtful.
Do you remember something happened and you got lots and lots and lots of hate for it? And I can't remember what it was, but you got so much hate. Well,
There's been a few times. There was the real stuff when we really put ourselves out there as being a business that promoted and wanted to normalise te reo. We got, you know, a fair number of rednecks came out of the closet and told us what they thought. That was the first experience. That was really hard to deal with. There was the Waddies thing.
The Waddies thing, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that really polarised a lot of people.
Absolutely demolished.
Only by some people.
By certain...
A whole bunch of other people were like,
you
bro,
get it.
right behind you, 100% tautoko.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those really polarising issues, that's kind of where you see the extremities come out.
Yeah.
This podcast, I've had a few people that have, you know, who don't like it. That's fine. I'm not making it for them. I'm making it for the people that want to listen, and mainly so that, you know, we can have cool kōrero and learn. But yeah, I think the fear of how people feel about us and how they see us.
And yet there's always going to be people in the world that don't like you. Like, you literally cannot be in everything to everybody. It's not possible. Because we're all different. We all care about different things. And at the end of the day, what's really, really important is that you feel comfortable that you are a good person and the person that you want to be. And that's different for everyone.
I also think people are so self-absorbed, you and me both, that we think they are thinking about us, but they actually are not. Like, they've got their own shit to worry about. Everyone's got their own shit to worry about. So we're sitting here thinking, like, you walk down the street and you're like, that person's thinking about me, that person's judging me. They're not. They're in their own zone. Yeah. Like, you're not that important to them. Like, I don't care.
Nobody cares.
No one actually cares. Yeah. So, and, you know, maybe I need to take my own advice, but, like, no one cares. Mm-hmm. They might care for, like, 5 seconds and then something else comes along.
And you'll be at home stressing about that conversation that you had, and did they take it the wrong way?
What are they thinking about me?
And, like, oh my gosh, what do they think of me? And yet they literally have not given you a second thought.
The answer is they don't think about you. They don't care because they're thinking about themselves. Yeah. And that's human nature, to worry about yourself.
Yeah.
So, like, I think, I've certainly got some work to do in that area, because I still care way too much about what other people think. And it's easy to sit here and go, I don't care what other people. I mean, I totally do, and I think you do. I think everyone does. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Cool. Well, thanks, babe. Appreciate you.
Good.
I've enjoyed our kōrero. Have you got any closing whakaaro thoughts? Anything you'd like to share with the world?
I think in closing that whole, this episode started with how we make it work. We make it work by just playing to each other's strengths. It's kind of the gist of it, eh?
Yeah.
And valuing each other for what we bring to the table. And we've made plenty of mistakes. And communication is key when you do that.
And a good calendar.
And a really good calendar. And knowing that the other person probably isn't listening, and that's okay.
Is that a dig at me?
Maybe. No.
Fair enough.
It's all good.
It's all good.
All good. It's in the calendar. What about you? Closing remarks? Anything you'd like to finish with?
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
My only closing thought is I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the ride. It's been stressful at times, but it's also been really, really amazing. It's been a real roller coaster, to borrow that cliche metaphor, but there's lots of highs, lots of lows. We tend to go in extreme ups and downs. There's not a lot of time where things are just kind of like smooth sailing. There's always really, really highs and really, really kind of deep lows. But it's been fun, more fun than bad. And I think that's just life. And I'm enjoying life with you. I love our tamariki. I love our whānau. And I'm looking forward to what the future holds.
Love it.
Love it. Is that us?
That's us.
We'll wrap it up. Kapai. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. Have a mean day. Aroha nui.
Sure.